This is Tech Addicts. Your bi-weekly buddies are back, and this week we're talking about 3's new mobile tariff, Xiaomi's Dynamic Island Walkie Talkies, the Realme GT3 Anker microphones, Rode microphones, and erasing your fingerprints. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts podcast. I'm Gareth, the host, and I'm joined this week by Ricky West. How are you, Ricky?
I'm good, thank you. Good to know. And thank you for the update as well, we're moving to 2 weeks. I got that from the last podcast.
Yeah, it's just proof that you listened. And also, we have Mr. Ted Salmon as well.
Hello there, and more greetings from North Wales. For those of you who are not fed up with me, weather forecast is blue sky and sunny, but nice and cold. Lovely.
Ditto here in Northern Ireland. What about you, Ricky?
Sunny again with some clouds.
Whereabouts are you in England?
Milton Keynes, so middle-ish of the part of the country.
Okay, all right. So we're getting further easterly.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, grand. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, it's been 2 weeks since our last show. Some of you noticed, some of you probably didn't. But yes, I had a wonderful Sunday off. It was great. I was able to do stuff last week. Washed my car. Sorry. Just thinking about what I did last Sunday. Good
for you.
Running in fields in slow motion, dancing and all sorts of things. It was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm sure that'll wear off after a wee while, but at the same time, it was just nice to have some time. Ted, what did you get up to?
Last Sunday.
Yes, you were polishing your moccasin, weren't you?
Well, I was polishing something for a large part of the day, yeah. Do you know, I honestly can't remember what I did last Sunday. What did I do? I don't think I did anything. I was just sitting here twiddling my thumbs, thinking to myself, why aren't I podcasting, that lazy git?
Sitting in a grey room, twiddling your thumbs. Next Sunday.
I was posting a post on MeWe about. Did you see that with the upside down dog, depicting you as being the person laying on your back in bed?
No, I didn't actually.
Oh dear.
I have to go and find it. Yeah, so I'll find that whilst you run through some of the feedback we had about this controversial decision.
Very controversial. Chad Dixon says you just can't get reliable people these days. Gareth. Paul Williams says we will miss you. That was obviously before it happened. Jeremy Harpham, mixed feelings on this one, as I often don't have time to listen until the following Saturday anyway. So I'm actually glad it's going fortnightly. I'll find it easier. And Simon Bates said, I have to drive my truck home in silence. Your drivel used to keep me company. So yeah, mixed feelings, I think. But as long as you feel the benefit, then nothing else matters, Gareth.
I feel terrible now, Simon. Could we just not record, 2 hours worth of us going blah 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 blah?
I'll tell you what you could do. I'll tell you what you could do is we could record every fortnight, but only release half of it each week.
Well, it depends on how long his truck journey is then.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless he listens to it twice, he could pick up on more of the inaccuracies that we pepper into these shows.
Pepper being the word. Hopefully, with Ricky on though, it will be less so.
Yes.
Oh no! I don't bring it up a notch. We'll keep it at the notch it is. Please don't. 'Cause you guys, when I listen back, you make me laugh. So I feel like I bring it up a notch, but don't. Let's stay where you are.
Yeah.
We're expecting big things from you, Ricky. You've got a tough job ahead of you.
Okay.
Turning us into a quality podcast. That's what you're here for. All right. So there's been... sorry about not recording last week. We will carry on not recording on Sundays until we see fit and get bored and sick of our families.
Sorry, but up yours.
And Simon, just listen to the projector room in the off week. There we go.
Hmm.
That's an idea. Yeah. Okay, so Hardline for the hardware. 3 has launched a new tariff, which is a £12 a month tariff for people, which has a bunch of other benefits. Now, this is a story from The Guardian. So do you want to take us through it, Ted? And you have to use that particular accent because it's from The Guardian.
The Gruniad. £12 a month for not so much the unlimited calls and texts, but also unlimited data, and I think that's a real deal. You've got to be on benefits to get this, which is great. It's the 3 doing something for people that are feeling the pinch. You've got to be on universal credit, pension credit, income support, job seeker support, or one of those bunch of things, and presumably you have to evidence that to them, and they let you go on to the £12 a month thingy. And I think that's really good, because just today we got an email from BT/EE saying that there's going to be an inflation-based rise of my mum's broadband, which is another £10 a month, and that £10 a month is almost this whole £12 a month for unlimited data. So yeah, good for 3, I say.
Yeah, definitely so. And just to jump on that, Ted, it says it's launching from April and May this year.
Yeah.
Estimated 4.2 million households across the UK that could benefit from this tariff.
Indeed.
Literally using your benefits, which is good. Pension credit as well, so anyone on pension credit that's retired, you could potentially, just thinking out loud here, is take one of these, get a mobile Wi-Fi, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah.
But you got to be on benefits, though, which is going to be very hard for some people.
Some people, yeah. It is universal credit as well, though. So some people, self-employed people, can get universal credit. There's quite a wide exception there, which is quite good to see.
Right.
Income-based job seekers.
But how do you prove to someone that you are on benefits?
Coming from previous person, obviously myself, as some of you may know, I'm registered blind, so I'm entitled to some benefits. Even though I work, I'm still entitled to help and support with moving and caring, and I get PIP, which is personal independence payment, which is a benefit from the government.
Which isn't mentioned here, actually.
No, because it's not means tested. So you can be a multi-millionaire, and if you have a disability, you're still entitled to this money because it's all around your mobility and your care needs. So it's a little bit different, this one. And the ones listed here are means tested, so they are, you've got to have lower than £12,000 income before you can entitled to a full benefit amount as well. So with my disability one, say I want to jump queues at Disney World, luckily I can do that, which is fantastic. All I have to do is show them the letter, and that's all 3 would most probably ask you to do, is send a copy of your letter somehow, email format. Potentially they could ask for your national insurance number and run it through the government's database, and then it would show again that way. I can't see them doing that because I can't see the government allowing access to that, but I know some companies do. So some energy providers also have specialist
access
tariffs and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, they have tariffs that they can offer for disabilities and certain criteria, and they have access to government sort of to see who's on what benefit and if they are claiming that benefit.
And 3 probably don't care much anyway, do they? I mean, to them, £12 a month en masse will be enough to not nitpick with people about whether they're actually pulling the wool over or not.
No. I think a lot of people will grab at this. This is a good deal for those that are entitled to it.
Yeah, I'd like to see the small print, just for where you say about the idea of putting it into a MiFi. If say, this is what Ted does essentially. If he was to get one of these, and he has this Instagram business where he takes pictures of himself in the bikini, and he's got like 4 million followers, and he's not entitled. But if he were to be entitled, he could stick one of these in his MiFi and then run all of his business through that at only £12 a month. That's.
I wonder what happens if you come off of benefits and how long they lock you in for, or not lock you in, or maybe it's just day by day until you find a job. Don't know. Interesting to, as you say, terms and conditions.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the terms and conditions for that one. I'm just having a quick look through. There's nothing much in the article, but normally, because whenever you're in receipt, again, because of the past, I was entitled to job seekers allowance, disabled persons thing when I was younger. As soon as anything changed, I had to inform them. If you didn't inform them, that would be a case of fraud against you. So it's very much, again, you'd be frauding the company, and you're at your own peril there.
Right.
That's up to you with that one.
Right.
Fair usage, that's what it was. If there's a fair usage policy, I lost it at the end of that because I couldn't quite remember what it was called. Rambled on about Ted on Instagram. But yeah, if they've got that somewhere, what it might be, and you know, for the most people who will be taking this up, there probably won't be a problem, but there's going to be someone somewhere.
What's interesting about it also is that it's depicting internet connection, particularly, as one of the essential services alongside gas and electric. It's giving out the stronger message that we're actually reliant on this, and it should be considered to be one of the essential services. Yeah,
it has been recategorised as that. It's now a utility. The internet is a utility.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gotta have it. That's why the government was on a big rampage to install a minimum of a 2 megabit connection to your home, which they still haven't managed to do.
Yeah.
To most homes. Anyway, moving on to something a bit more exciting and fun is the Xiaomi, the first phone with a dynamic island that could launch globally soon. What is a dynamic island? And is that where you base your Instagram business, taking pictures of bikinis?
Have you got any Apple devices, Ricky?
I did have the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I had a little play around with the dynamic island. So what it is a mixture of hardware and software, isn't it? Where it combines they're trying to sell you the cutout, basically, of the screen. That's my main thing, is that we've got to put a cutout in our display. We're not using under-screen technology for cameras. So how do we sell this as an extra perk? And for me, I'd rather still just have the notch at the top, because the dynamic island was good. So when I had the iPhone, it was used for, say, Face ID. For Apple Wallets, it just pinged up and it showed you a little sort of emote at the side of the dynamic island, or the screen stretched down from it. Apple had really thought about it and put in their ideas. However, it came out quite quickly that other companies were doing it just as soon as everyone else, really. But I would say all it does is blend software and hardware together. And changes things slightly on your display. I like the look of it. Personally, I think it's interesting, and it's even dynamic. Because, as you say, it does change depending on what you want it to do. And I think it's yet another good idea from Apple. And clearly the story here is that Xiaomi are copying the thing, and they're the first ones out the gate, I think, or maybe second. I think there was one other, wasn't there? I'm trying to think who it was. This phone, though, I think it was an Oppo, wasn't it? Yeah, I want to say Oppo jumped on it quite quickly and sort of added a layer of colour OS on top so it could do the same thing. This Xiaomi 13 Lite, though, is coming along any minute, if not already. And it's a kind of pared down version of the Xiaomi 13. It's a little bit bigger. It looks like it's a half decent device, specified device. It's got 67 watt wired charging, no Qi charging, but it's got stereo speakers, and it's got a basic 50 megapixel camera, coming with Android 12 and MIUI 14, 6.5 inch screen roughly, AMOLED screen. Looks nice enough. Looks like being about 450 to 500 quid. I'm sure it'll be a very nice phone. Yeah, it's a good looking piece as well. Beastie. Yeah, very nice. I was going to say this is a good mid to lower end phone, and there's a couple of others coming out, isn't there, soon? I think we'll talk about one a little bit later, but it's going to be quite a hotly anticipated market, I would say. If you're in the market for a new phone around £500, there's going to be some good options, and you'll be able to pick up some good different devices with good specs on them. Indeed. I was talking to my boss on Friday, and she said that her husband has just bought a new phone, but she can't pronounce the name of it
begins with an X. It's like Xiaomi, and she goes, no. It begins with an X. Like, no, yeah, it's Xiaomi. She wouldn't believe me. Yeah. But, so obviously they're hitting the major market now, and people are starting to pick them up, and they're not quite as off-put by them. I still think that, people don't recognise the name Xiaomi and they don't recognise the name Oppo, despite the fact they are really the big companies that are coming. They've got their head around Huawei being a relatively friendly name when it comes to buying technology. And they've forgotten about HTC, which took a wee while to get onto the lips of people. But with Xiaomi coming along, as with the new Xiaomi Walkie Talkie 2S, I'm dead excited about these. I want to get the new walkie talkies. Has anyone seen these little doohickeys that come out of, I think they're only available on AliExpress at the moment, but they've got a 1.77 inch colour LCD screen, and it's got 4 watts of transmit power, and it looks like just a cool little walkie-talkie system. I'd love to have a go with these, and if you're ever driving in convoy, you could use these. 120 hours of standby and 50 hours of continuous use. Does it say a range?
I think it was... Yeah, it did say a range. I read it earlier.
10,000 metres squared.
3 miles.
Oh, right, okay. So you could use these if you're driving.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
What I like about the Xiaomi stuff that's not phones is that it's just... I've got this kind of screwdriver set, which is just... It's so beautifully made, and it looks very much like this. It's almost Sony or Apple or, something that's just really nice. The buttons look really Sony, don't they? And apart from the fact that it does what it does, it's just very, very nice. Objects of desire.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you take away the antenna, it looks like a Sony Walkman to me.
Yeah.
It sort of has that Sony look about it. If you take away the antenna, it seems to have that. It's good though. Do you know what I mean? 3 miles is quite good as long as you're not speeding away from someone.
Yeah, it would be nice if they put in a little bit sort of more interesting technology as well. Like, obviously they've got things like you can connect headphones as well via Bluetooth and the 3.5mm headphone jack. But say, for example, being able to put in a memory card to be able to record the conversation that you're having or something, that would be kind of handy too. Whereas you would have to, you can do that by having an extra machine, like a Zoom, and then hooking it up by 3.5mm. To the Zoom, so you can do that, but it would be nice to have that built in as just an extra feature.
And I'm not sure what they mean by it can connect to other walkie-talkies or mobile devices. So I don't know whether that means that there's an app, and if you want to talk to someone over cellular, you can, or I'm not sure what that means at all. It's not very clear.
Well, it's probably the things that can tap into the same frequency as it, because it uses a particular frequency.
Yeah, so it says here you can use Xiaomi's app to share your walkie-talkie's location and push over-the-air updates to the device. I'm wondering if they will release something then, like their own sort of walkie-talkie app, potentially, that could...
Yeah. It'd be nice to have one of these. Just it's interesting that they're putting them out as well. You'd think with the invention of the mobile phone, walkie-talkies would have died off, but... There's obviously, well, I suppose in security and things, you have to have a walkie-talkie in ways, basic sort of policing or whatever, or security around a warehouse. So there is a market for it. But for people like you and I to be able to pick up it would be nice for a family, even if you're on the beach or going shopping with your kids or family, you can keep in touch with them that way. And blend in with the security. Yeah.
Very good.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, the Oppo Find N2 Flip has had its specifications exposed. Ted, what can you tell us about this?
I watched the event on the 15th of February. I sat there for the whole hour, drinking it in, and putting up with the people that were not very good at English, and the people that were rolled on. Like one bloke from Google was rolled on, and he had about one sentence to say, and then he just walked off again. So,
brilliant.
Really badly planned event, I thought. But anyway, there it was. The Find N2 Flip. Incidentally, you know how I've always said that OPPO should be pronounced Oppo, based on the fact that we had someone on the show on PSC one time who worked for Oppo, and he called it Oppo, and so I've always fought the corner of it must be called Oppo. Well, during this event, they had about 3 different people who said it Oppo, 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 Oppo again, and they were employees of the company. No one knows how to announce it. Anyway. Pronounce
so
it.
Oppo it is then.
Well,
right.
I think it could be anything you want it to be. Anyway, this is a nice looking phone. We've spoken about the N2 Flip. We saw it coming. It's about the big screen. The specs came out, and there's no Qi charging, but it has got a nice big battery, which is kind of groundbreaking for flip phones. And it folds flat, which is nice. It's 849 quid, and you can get one from Amazon UK on the 1st of March, or I think from Oppo Direct. Sorry, Oppo Direct. You can probably get it before the 1st of March, but then the 1st of March is only on Wednesday, so yes. Anyone else?
Yes, so I had a bit of a pre-release about this, and I had some information about this, and hopefully my name is down on the list to get one. So it'd be interesting to see, because for me, one of my biggest things is that I always argue with Oppo is around accessibility. They seem to forget it. So I am intrigued to see what they do. It is a lovely looking device. It looks really nice. And we also have another folding device coming tomorrow, I believe, that actually the hinge closes even more than this one. That I can talk a little bit about, I think. Not overly a lot. But yeah. So I'm intrigued to get both of these side by side and see what happens.
You haven't talked much about it. You said you were going to, then you didn't.
Come on.
So the one from Honor. One that's coming from Honor tomorrow.
Oh, right. Okay.
The Magic
okay.
VS, is it? I think.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it when we get to it in the show notes.
And we're also on the verge of Motorola Razr in the next story, and possibly the Samsung Flip 5, all taking what the Find N2 has done and making it even bigger and better, filling up the whole of the back screen with a display, which is inevitably where it should have gone in the first place, I think. Instead of pouncing about with, half displays, and, oh, sorry, I'm not allowed to say that, am I? Mucking about with half displays, and as good as the Oppo one is, a whole coverage of the whole side would be much better. So, leaked renders have been put out there this week to show that both Motorola and Samsung are onto that.
Okay, yeah. This is so we've got 3 flip phones in a row. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Now we've got the Honor Magic Lite as well, which isn't a flip phone, but there's also the Honor Magic V, which is the flip phone.
Fold.
It's a fold.
Fold. Yeah, so more of a folding one, that one.
Right, okay.
The Magic 5. What's the Magic 5 Lite?
So Magic 5, this is the one that I reckon will be a competitor against the Xiaomi that we spoke about earlier. Again, due one in-house this week, so I can give more information in 2 weeks' time when I've actually tested and tried it. It looks really nice. It does look nice. And I think it is around that sort of £500, if not slightly under. Can't remember.
There's GSM Marina are saying 329.
Yeah, they've gone quite low, haven't they? They've gone.
Are you going
low.
out to Barcelona, Ricky?
No, I'm not, because of my new job at the moment. I'm at home, but I'm still luckily getting some press releases from the global team, and devices have been sent to me, so luckily I've done enough on YouTube that I don't have to go out now. It's a shame, actually, because it's nice to go out, but you get so tired.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I totally agree. It'd just be nice to go, but I don't think they'll invite me to anything anymore. They don't even send me the press releases.
I've just clicked through to Amazon, and sure enough, you can get it delivered tomorrow for $329. So
wow. Yeah. Okay, that's quite good considering the specs on it. I don't know if it matches the Xiaomi completely.
The chipset is a Snapdragon 695, whereas on the Xiaomi it's a Snapdragon 7 Gen 1.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Still good-looking devices. Very nice competition and choice for folks who are looking to buy something a wee bit different. Ain't that nice? Yeah. All right, Western Digital have the MyBook Duo drive, which is coming with a massive 44 terabytes inside of it, which is insane. But it kind of explains why we're starting to see some of the Western Digital 22 terabyte MyBooks going on sale at the moment. Which are dropping in price, which is nice, very nice. But 44 terabytes, Ted, what would you fill that with?
I don't know.
Don't answer that.
I was yes, thank you. I just thinking that this is 42 terabytes more than my SSD that I carry in my wallet, which is, and I've always thought that my little 2 terabyte SSD is massive and holds pretty much everything I need to carry with me. But
so size isn't everything; it's what you do with it.
Exactly, yeah. Interesting that like with storage all the time, it just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? That it gets cheaper. This is starting out at £1,100, mind you. How much have you seen the 22 for?
I was during the week.
I was going to say I paid 1,000 for the 22.
Wow!
When it first came out.
This article This article is saying that the 22 can be got for $600. So I don't know. Yeah. Again, prices.
I bought mine quite a long time ago.
Right.
And I think when I last looked, I think I filled about 6 terabytes. And that's with 6 years of video backups and B-roll, A-roll, and files and everything that's just thrown on there. I think.
What would you do? What would you do with 44? Come on, how would you fill it?
I know.
Just back up everything. Take every Blu-ray that you've got and rip it at the highest quality possible. It would be amazing. Plex would crumble, I'm sure. But I'm just having a quick look at some of the prices. At the moment, I think the cheapest 20 terabyte is the Seagate 1. The Seagate 1 Touch Hub.
Right.
It's on Amazon for $329.99.
Wow.
But that's Seagate, so you probably have to lose everything. You'd need 2. Back up the other one. Western Digital Gold 14 terabyte. Gold is enterprise class SATA hard disk is £243. So the prices are still just a wee bit too high for the regular consumer, I reckon. But for office backup and things like that, that's fantastic. Yeah, brilliant. And I look forward to these dropping down. I can't wait until we feature one of these for the first time in the bargain basement. £244 for 44 terabytes. That'd be awesome. Yeah.
I was going to say we'd be onto a petabyte then by then, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Imagine when your phone comes with a petabyte of storage. All right. So a touchscreen is being developed that can easily erase fingerprints because people can nick your fingerprint from your touchscreen, which is very impossible mission possible. Yes, me, Ted. I've got a funny feeling you've got feelings on this.
Well, it's understanding it is the issue. I think it's apparently to do with the violet pixels amongst the blue, red, and green in the display, and then a chemical reaction. So, when exposed to ultraviolet light, so goes this article, the photocatalyst coating is able to absorb the light and create a chemical reaction using the moisture in the air. During the reaction, organic materials left behind by the fingerprints, as well as oil and grease, are broken down. After the reaction is done, everything dries out like dust. This has been patented by GM in the US, and
GM
General
Motors.
Is that General Motors?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Car
could be.
manufacturer, yeah. So they're going to put it on their windscreens, no doubt. But it sounds all a lot of chemical gobbledygook, but the net result is no more fingerprints on your phone.
Oh, I wonder if GM are doing this for potentially fingerprint unlocking your car.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
Just maybe on the door handles? I don't know. It seems a very odd brand, doesn't it?
It does, but sometimes, being able to even just start your car whenever you hit the start button, having a fingerprint on that, it's just, added security. Because maybe not on the car door, because if you want your kids to get in ahead of you.
Yeah, true.
Or on the key fob. Well, yeah, I suppose, there's a few different ways you could do that. Or they could recognise your foot when you wiggle it under the tail. All right, cool. It'll be interesting to see if that does roll out and what brand it comes to first if it hits a smartphone. What do you think, folks?
Sorry, just to finish this off, the Gizmodo article from where this came is saying that they're talking about covering the whole dashboard of a car to stop fingerprints. There's nothing about security mentioned in there at all, but anyway, do carry on.
Oh, right, okay. Oh. Right, so people's dashboards are fingerprinty?
Well, if you look at the other story this week about Mercedes-Benz, who have brought out this big display. Are we covering that story? I can't remember now. I think...
Yes, I think you're right, yeah. No, but that makes sense, yeah.
Right, the Mercedes story was to do with the fact that they're going to put these whacking great big displays all over the front of the car, one right across in front of the passenger as well, and it's just going to be this mega display. And I suppose GM are thinking, well, if people are going to be touching that all the time, then we need to make sure that they don't have to wipe it clean all the time.
Yes. I purchased a new car 2 weeks ago, and I was going out for test drives in various different cars and things, and the likes of the new Kia Sportage has a couple of big screens across the front of it, and then there's the Tesla and the Renault Testicle as well. If you press, you can see the person who was in before, their big blobby fingerprints. So perhaps it is because screen technology is becoming a lot more prevalent in cars than... You don't have to wipe the screen while you're driving. Yeah, the Teslas do have really big screens in them. Not that I was test driving a Tesla. Yes, and well, we'll see coming along the road. People will be wiping their screens or not wiping their screens. Okay, Nubia are doing the Neovision AR smart glasses, and they'll be coming out. Hopefully, we'll actually see them at Mobile World Congress in 2023. And they've announced the world's first AR smart glasses. I don't know how they've managed that, because I think MetaQuest does AR as well.
The first one's with Neovision.
Oh, right, okay. Which is something they've created. Right, okay. But yes, I can talk a bit about this, because I had to go on MetaQuest, because we have one in the house.
Yeah.
And as my son went out and bought the Facebook product, and I was most upset. But then I realised that it was all he could afford, because it's the cheapest version to be able to get VR, and it's really quite impressive, to be honest. So, they now have a new 3D. I suppose this isn't 3D, is it, actually? They've the Neovision glass design, saying it's the perfect combination of fashion and technology, which is something that you can't quite imagine someone walking along wearing
fashion.
A pair of 3D. Yeah. They'll be wearing it in Milan. The ladies will be out with their Dolce & Gabbana bags and stuff, and Nubia smart glasses.
Ricky, is there any implications for this kind of stuff for accessibility? So,
most people with a visual impairment can't actually produce 3D.
Mm-hmm.
I tried the MetaQuest. I've tried PlayStation's version. I can play them. However, for someone with sight loss, it's quite difficult. The gaming industry is not easy for sight loss anyway. They are trying to make huge changes. I think The Last of Us 2 done really well with that. There was loads of articles about that. They put loads of effort into it. It very much depends on your sight, because even with some that can't perceive red and green, like colourblind, have issues with VR headsets because they can't see those colours in quick games and fast-paced games. So it's very much depending on people, and it's very hard because you don't want to go and spend all of this money. Luckily, we do have quite a fair returns policy in the UK, but it's a lot of money to go and spend that potentially you can't use. And I know for myself, with my eyesight, I can't render 3D. Something tries to jump out of me, I'm not jumping anywhere because I haven't seen it jump out of me. But that's absolutely fine. But there are limitations, I think, with any technology, and that's why I always try to push, sort of when I speak to companies and I try and share things, is I always do try to see what can be done from an accessible point of need. If it's worth shouting about, I'll always shout about it, and if there's always issues to push, I always try and raise those issues, because I think it's hard enough, and obviously you go and spend your well-earned money, and you need to actually use that device, don't you? You don't want it to just sit and gather dust.
Yeah.
I think Beat Saber was like one of the funnest games I've ever played on VR.
I think my son's currently playing that right as we speak. He just got it this morning. So yeah, that's kind of fascinating. Obviously, you need both eyes functioning to be able to benefit from 3D. Whereas for AR, where you would actually see AR is the other way around from virtual reality, where you see reality and then they add things in. Augmentations, I suppose, where you could see the likes of, say, GPS, and it shows you what streets to go down and things, and various different things in shop windows or whatever. You would look through a shop window, you could see a for sale sign and tag stuff, or even, say, for example, Google Images. I think this is what we're eventually going to go towards. You would have Google Shopping, and you could look through a window and see what price to pay for things. And be able to judge whether something's a wee bit overpriced. That would be a great thing.
Just coming back to Google, I was really lucky. I got to try the Google Lens. And for me, my eye could process it because it was on the right-hand eye. It was on the right-hand side. It used, because they said most people, their sight is better through one channel or the other, so your left eye or your right eye. And they made most of them for the right eye. There were a few made for the left eye. But it was great seeing it just overlaid over. And I think a quite exciting one is I'm looking forward to seeing what Apple do as well, because they are due to enter this market this year, potentially end of next year. So it'll be interesting to see their take on it, because they're always late to the arena, but normally when they do come, that's where you'll see mass partation sort of in it, and it will really sort of pick up.
Right, yeah, okay. Well, one of the ideas behind this is, as well, it'll work with the Nubia Pad, which is a new tablet they're doing that has 3D implementation, so that you use the two together and you'll be able to see 3D stuff.
No.
The
The point about the Nubia Pad 3D, as I understand it, is that you don't need to use glasses. This is the technology that's going to leap out of the screen at you, like we see in those streets. You remember that whacking great display that Samsung did before their event, and you walk down the street and things just kind of come out of the screen at you. Well, apparently this thing, they're going to be showcasing it on Tuesday, February the 28th, and they're going to showcase it in Barcelona at MWC, and I think that this will be, personally, I think this will be some sort of game changer, that in your hand, I mean, I'm not sure how good it'll be. We need to see that. I've got a little Nintendo device that's got 3D in it, and I turn it off. It makes me feel sick. But if ZTE have done this better and well, and it is more like those things we've seen in the street, then I'm really buzzing about this. I think it'll be great, don't you?
Well, yeah, I'm reading because I knew I'd seen it somewhere, but I'm just rereading the sentence, and I read it with haste this morning, and the old dyslexia got in the way of things. Our understanding is the engine will track your eyes and stimulate a 3D effect without the need for glasses.
Yeah.
Guess which word I didn't get right? Or any special parallax barrier display. Right, okay. So the tablet also comes with a USB Type-C port, 2 front-facing cameras, and a thin bezel. So those 2 cameras must be tracking your eyes to allow it to do this.
Think about the implications for gaming with this, though. Like proper 3D gaming. I think it'll just be amazing.
It will be, but I can't imagine how they're going to bring it to anything other than a personal device. On a tablet, say for example, PlayStation wanted to adopt this and put it into the new PlayStation 6. Dare I mention that? And they would have a camera that sits on top of the TV. But how does it track a person's eyes whenever there could be a bunch of people in the room and that kind of thing? So I do think it'll work a lot better for localized personal content delivery in the likes of a tablet.
I'm just wondering if it's a bit like, is it Adobe software when you're doing streaming and when you need to look down, but actually with AI it replaces your eye movement. So obviously that's using something to track the eyes, and then it uses AI. Say I look down at my desk, the AI would still show me looking at my screen or looking at the camera. So I'm wondering if it's a mixture of sort of technologies from that.
Well, Samsung also did that as well, where they would watch your eyes and you were able to scroll down a website. Because it would watch and see as you're getting closer to the bottom of the screen, it would scroll up for you.
Yeah, they got rid of that, which is a shame. I thought it was a really good feature.
Because it never worked.
I did get it to work. So you needed a couple of settings turned on. So you couldn't have high refresh rate, and you needed not the full power screen display, so an FHD plus. You can have a quad HD plus, and you needed something else toggled on. There's loads of barriers to it, but I did manage to get it working.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I do remember it happening, but not at a time that I wanted it to actually happen.
Yeah. There was a lot of barriers to jump through, which was highly annoying, because it was for me, I thought it was a good feature. Yes, I couldn't have used it all the time, but someone that had a bit of a dexterity and interaction sort of accessible needs, it was a great feature.
Yeah. But I suppose that's just Samsung for you. There's lots and lots of barriers in order to be able to use a useful service.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Rode. Rode has claimed in its new podcast that it's got a new podcast-friendly NT1, which is a new microphone that offers dual XLR USB connectivity that provides a near unbreakable 32-bit flute recording. Ted, translate that into English for us, will you?
Well, the 30-bit recording, I think, speaks for itself. It's like super-duper clear, reliable recording, which we don't normally get to unless you have the right equipment. I think the interesting bit here is the unclippable audio. So they're claiming that, and I watched a review this week of this guy reviewing a microphone. I think it was a Elgato one, and they had this clever software, and he demonstrated it quite clearly that whatever you do to this microphone, however you spit at it or shout at it, it doesn't distort, and it works really well. So Rode are claiming that they've got that built into the thing without the software, and it just works. The NT1 has been on sale for a long time, but this is the latest evolution of it, and the thing is on sale at Amazon UK at the moment for £300. So it's already out there, and it does look really interesting. It's just quite expensive, I suppose. That's what you do. You know, if you want a Rode NT1 with the latest gear in it, you're going to have to pay.
Yeah, it's £300. You get a shock mount as well and a sibilant shield for that money, which is almost quite good. It would be better to have the whole studio arm as well included. But to add that in would be another £79. So obviously we pride ourselves on our audio fidelity quality on this podcast, and we will probably not be adopting this anytime soon.
It's a bit worrying that they're selling a spit guard with it, isn't it? Because that's the whole point of the unclippable thing and non-distortion, and yet they're saying, but you need a mouth guard. Aye, the grass cutter's back. Like Sunday morning, it's just always the way. You think you're safe.
I wonder if you would be able to do something about that.
I thought it was an aeroplane flying over me.
Right,
it was you.
Right outside my window. This happens quite regularly, but it's usually in the summer, to be honest. I think Sunday morning is his grass cutting day. Good grief. Clear off, go on.
That's a good test out for road, actually, if you stick this, see if it manages to get rid of the volume.
I've got a Rode microphone which I'm using for this, and it's supposed to be dynamic, but it doesn't cut that out, is it?
Just looking at the bottom of it, it's quite an interesting port on the bottom of it. You've got the XLR, but with the USB Type-C built into it.
Yeah, you can choose either. My microphone, one of my microphones has got that, my Samsung. And also, has it got a 3.5mm on the bottom as well?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite nice. I wouldn't mind one of those.
Yeah, it looks
Rode, if you're listening.
lovely, doesn't it?
Yeah. Looks quite good too. Looks like a proper microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. I suppose actually we'll keep on the position of microphones because I've contributed to one which I kind of fancy, and it's by Anker, and it's a new little device that is they advertise, and if you contribute £1, then you get 50 quid off. And I think it's going to sell for maybe £200, but that'll bring it down to $149.99 or something like that. This is the AnkerWork, and it's a little case of detachable clippy microphone things that you can take with you, and you can record studio interviews. We've seen them many times, and I see Rode microphones that are similar to these clip-on microphones popping up more and more frequently in the news. As opposed to a proper or a typical tie mic type thing that you might see. You see the little square boxing that clips onto someone's shirt. This is the same idea as those, but they're round, and you can clip them on, and then it feeds back to a central unit that records the stream directly from the microphones. And I watched some of the demonstration videos, and they're really, really quite nice. And I figured, this is something I would quite like in my life. So I decided to pay the £1.
Yeah.
And
what colour?
It didn't ask me, but whenever I'll be given a code, and whenever I go to buy them, I put the code in, and I can redeem. But I'll definitely go for the black ones. The white ones look a bit crap.
I quite like the pink one.
There's a pink one.
So that I think there's about 6 colours. Yeah, that central unit. Can you put like an SD card in it or something then?
Well, I think it has built-in storage.
Oh, okay.
I didn't quite clock how much there was,
right.
But they kept showing it. It's got a touchscreen interface with swipeable applications. You can fiddle around with the settings by swiping left and right and up and down. And the back of the microphone as well. You can unclip that clip. It clips on with microphone or with magnets, and then you can set the clip on one side of your shirt and the microphone on the other, and it'll clip together. And you can put it anywhere in your shirt you like. Nice. It's just little things like that I like. And the USB Type-C on the back of the recording unit, you can pull that off as well. It's got a magnet holding it in place, and then replace it with a cable or whatever you need, or a lightning port jack thing that's included in the box as well. So you're not just limited to USB Type-C, you can have Mac compatibility as well.
So you're going to start doing TikTok videos?
No, I was thinking more for my unboxing videos, because I've always had, since I took down and gave away one of my microphones, I've been sort of scrabbling around to try and get better audio quality in my little YouTube videos that I do, and I just haven't found a happy medium yet. And I think this will sort me out. So I just thought, I'll go for it. I'll be able to use it for various other things as well.
Looks lovely.
Covert operations.
Yeah.
I was going to say it'd be good to get your feedback. So I've got the Joby version of these. I've seen them on national broadcast. I've used them. I think most people go for the Rode ones, but the Joby one seems to be okay when I've used it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did grab a set of these before. Actually, no, I was sent them. I can't lie. And I did an unboxing on them, and I was really quite impressed with them. But recently I've noticed that there's a tiny little bit of interference between my camera and the main unit. I can't remember what they were called, though. I'm having a quick look through my videos. Oh, yeah, the KimaFun 2.4 gigahertz wireless lavalier microphones. And this kind of solved the problem, but I just wasn't happy with the there was a very, very tiny hiss in the background. It really bothered me. So I'm hoping these ones will not have that hiss. Maybe it was interference from my camera, but it was just something that I wanted to try and work around. But yeah, I quite like these, and they're from Anker, so they should be good quality.
Yeah.
And a wee bit different. They're not Rhodes. Always go for the underdog. All right, Realme. Excuse me. The Realme GT3 has a 240 watt charging system, which is a wee bit insane, if you ask. And it will charge your phone from 1 to 100% in 9 minutes and 37 seconds. That's insane. I take it in America it'll be half of that.
They demonstrated...
Or twice that.
What was funny about the video that we're linking to here is that they demonstrated it, but they didn't do it in real time, making it a 9-minute, 37-second video. They cut it, and they didn't actually demonstrate it actually doing it. They didn't prove it. They just cut it from the beginning to the end.
Right, okay. Well, on this topic, I still am working away at my Oppo Reno 8 Pro video.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why there's been a bit of a delay is that I've been trying to capture this, because it's got the 100-watt charging. I'm trying to work out exactly... I put it down, and I put a wee Huawei phone, the one that I could find, beside it with a stopwatch. And I discharged the phone and then plugged in the Super VOOC and then started the stopwatch to try and record it going from either 0 or 1% up to 100% and how long it would take. And it took me about 6 or 7 goes because it was a real pain in the ass. Getting the screen to stay on, on the Oppo.
Oh, right.
It kept turning off, and there was various different settings I was trying, and I couldn't find just a solid setting for display do not turn off or display turns off never.
Right.
So I ended up having to use the always on display to show the battery count, even turning the phone off, and where you plug in you get the wee lightning bolt to show the percentage climbing up. That eventually turns off, but because of the speed of the charge, it turns off after a couple of minutes, and you can't see it effectively. So I'll unplug the phone, and it'll say it's up to 48%, and then I have to try and discharge that 48%. And the battery life on the phone is really good, so it can take about 12 to 14 hours to kill that battery to start again.
Run a video. Run a video with
I was going to say a quick tip that someone that's done it before is run a YouTube video of just like 4K stock image or relaxing sounds. That's how you do it.
That's what I had to do. I had NASA's live stream running, but even at that, it still took 4 hours to discharge the video.
Wow.
So, and then I'd have another go, and then, oh no, it's not working, and I've charged the phone back up to somewhere between 30 and 50%. So I eventually got it done at 1%, because I needed the phone turned on to be able to fiddle around with the settings, because I couldn't plug it in to fiddle around with the settings when it was fully discharged, and got it up and running. So I've got it, and I'll be putting it in the video this afternoon or tomorrow to be able to post it. It's the one last thing I needed to conquer, And I finally got it. And guess how long it took? 0% to 100%. Any guesses?
What's it? The Reno 8?
The Reno 8 Pro.
And what are they claiming?
With 100 watt
100
charging.
Watt. 40 minutes.
35.
Okay. Both of you are quite close. It was 32 bang on. No, sorry, it was 32 minutes and 22 seconds. I'm just looking. And 32 minutes, 22 seconds and 2. Which is incredible.
Yeah.
That really justifies not having wireless charging. You stick it on that charger for 15 minutes during a day, and that's you going for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely excellent. Absolutely excellent indeed. And this will be even better as well with Realme's GT3. 9 minutes and 37 seconds.
But you know what I'm going to say? There's a reason why Samsung and Google and Apple are not doing this. And the commentators reckon that, somewhere down the line, everyone's going to find out why they're not doing it. Samsung, to their peril, found out with was it the Note 7, about battery issues. And I don't know. It's just something that comes up in commentary here and there that this is not safe, and the Chinese brands are running away with it. But actually, watch out in the future.
Well, a friend of mine bought, on the basis of my review of the Oppo Find X3, I think it was, a friend of mine bought the Oppo Find for his daughter. She still has it, and that's, let's see, about 2 years ago, was it? Hang on, I'll do a quick
Did she
search.
always fast charge it?
Yep.
Right.
And it suits her way of life perfectly.
Right.
Oppo, sorry. How long ago was that when I did that? That was 1 year ago, sorry. So that's a Find X Lite. Because that's a £100 phone. He picked it up for her, and she's been charging it almost every day on that.
Ricky, what's your thoughts on slow and fast charging?
Again, it's going to be an issue, isn't it, somewhere? Because Samsung did, unfortunately, have that big. For me, I just use a wireless charger overnight. My phone normally lasts all day, and use it overnight. However, I've tested many of the either the SuperVOOC or Supercharge or fast charging. As long as I get battery life, I don't really care. It doesn't have to be sort of instantaneously. The 9 minutes, that is impressive, because if you do forget to charge it overnight, it sort of takes 9 minutes to get ready in the morning. So your phone is ready to go, which I think is really good.
Maybe you'll think differently if you weren't working from home again.
True.
Yeah. Don't know.
Well, yeah, but I suppose you have to package the charger in your bag if you want to go anywhere with it and go, I'm going to run out during the day. But if you go into a coffee shop, plug it in, you sit down 10 minutes, you're
yeah,
ready to go.
but you won't be able to, though, unless you've got the cable and the plug with you. That's the thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to factor that in.
Yeah.
Unless they start doing travel buddy things or whatever.
Yeah.
You buy 2 of these, but they are still expensive to buy.
Yeah.
And once Apple and Google start getting their teeth into those sorts of sales, they'll be a lot more expensive.
What phone are you using, Ricky? What's your main SIM in?
So my main SIM's in my iPhone at the moment. However, I've currently got a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, an iPhone 14 Plus, and a Fairphone 4 to take a look at. Right. So I've got a few.
Yeah.
I'm hot simming at the moment. Most days my phone is switched. So, yeah, that's. I've managed to clear all of my backlog, and then all of a sudden, thanks to Vodafone, they sent me 4 phones. So, I'm very busy.
Wow. And then they're going to be your main drivers. Waking up in the morning and going, which phone?
Yeah, it's nice to have that choice, and I'm very lucky. I'm very I'm looking forward to taking a look at the iPhone 14 Plus. I know it hasn't sold well. I know Apple's saying that they're never going to do it again. It's a bit like the mini version. Oh no, it has that sold well? I can't remember. No, I don't think it's done as well. But I'm looking forward to sort of seeing how. For me, I prefer a larger device. So I'm enjoying the Samsung devices. And Ted, I know you've got the S22 Ultra, haven't you?
21.
Oh, 21.
Yeah.
So I've got the 22 and 23. I think they want me to just do a bit of a comparison with those. Otherwise, my main Android daily job, I always try to have an iPhone and an Android device with me. And at the moment, it's the Google Pixel 7 Pro still.
Mm-hmm.
I just seem to like what they do a little bit. It's just a bit pure Google-fied.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to have. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Right, we're running along, so we're going to go into In the Name of the Game. Next up is, Ted, you're going to tell us a wee bit more about your experience with Nintendo Switch.
My homework from the last show was to sign up for this Nintendo Switch emulator what's it called? Expansion pack. And it throws into the mix. It costs $4 or £4 a month. And it throws into the mix a bunch of games from the Game Boy, the NES, the Nintendo 64, the Sega Mega Drive, although I don't know much about that one. I did find one game that I knew on there. Game Boy Advance and SNES, or SNES as I call it. If you want to pay monthly, as I say, it's £4, but there's a deal going on whereby you can get the expansion pack, the whole thing, for £34 a year. So that's, that's worth having, I think. The nostalgia angle for me, though, is just terrific, and I haven't got fed up with it yet. I'm playing all those old games I used to play. The gameplay is just like it was before. The graphics all blocky, and the sound and the music is very 1980s. And I guess I've been enthusiastic about it. I've tried to use the Evercade and the what's it called, the Mega Drive stuff, but because I don't know the games, and this is what I always come back to, it's just not there. They're adding games to this whole system all the time, which is great. I'm almost tempted now to get a proper Switch so I can put it on the telly, but in the meantime I'm using my Switch Lite. I think I would use it more if it was on the telly, and I'm awaiting Game Boy Mario Tennis and Golf, because those are two that I played an awful lot. So you can keep your Steam and you can keep your GOG. I'm very happy with this, thank you very much. It's really good fun, and I think it's worth £34 a year.
See, that's kind of interesting. We've got a list of games here that, you're familiar with an awful lot of them, but you're not too willing to go into the Mega Drive because you're not familiar with them. Whereas, I grew up knowing of the games, and maybe I haven't played a lot of them, but I'm able to get around to playing some of them now. And the likes of, on the smaller consoles, there's names of games that I know very well, but I haven't played. I've never played. I've just seen pictures of, and I've heard people talk about. And I'm scrolling down this, and I didn't have Nintendos growing up. I had Segas, but I know very well of the likes of the Donkey Kong series and the Mario series, and what, just from watching videos and reading books over the years, picking up on the best game names of the best games on the platform. And I would be interested in trying this so that I can go out and actually sit down and play F-Zero to see what people were championing whenever it first came out, or Pilot Wings, or the Star Fox and things like that, because people were going mad about those. Whenever the SNES came out, I was there with my Mega Drive and Herzog's Vi and Sunset Riders going, piece of crap, that Nintendo thing. I've got this Mega Drive here, it's much, much better. And I know my games very well. So it's kind of interesting that you're
the other way, yeah.
Not willing to look at them because you don't know them.
I will in time, but I'm much more drawn to. I'm in the.
How long have you had the Mega Drive?
I'm still in the nostalgia phase. I've only had this running up for about a week or so, and so I'm currently still reliving all my Game Boy stuff and my Nintendo stuff. But when I kind of run out of interest in that, I will, because I've got the Mega Drive in there. The only game that I found that I knew was the, what's it called, the platformer,
Sonic the
Hedgehog. That's the only one I found so far that I knew. And I was playing that, and I remembered, I must have played that somewhere, but I didn't know any of the others. But I will look at the other ones. But obviously the priority for me is being taken up with remembering all the old stuff I knew.
Yeah. What do you think, Ricky? What's your retro gaming?
Yes. So for me, I had this NES, the NES 64, Game Boys, and then I dabbled because I had the Sega as well at one point. So yeah, I never had the Switch. I've never been a fan of the Switch. I think I stopped at the Wii U. I think I had the Wii U, and then never got the Switch. I've used it, I've tried it. I think it's great that they're putting the back catalogue on. Just again, it's another either yearly cost. So obviously I've got PlayStation, Xbox, and they're sort of £50 or £60 a year. It's just ridiculous, and they do offer great things, but I'm trying to cut back on my monthly costs, like services, and it just seems we're going that way even more. So I'm half tempted to charge people for my service, like if they want to use my data or something, a monthly service charge. But no, I think it's really good, and having a look through the back catalogue of how many options that are there, there's hours of fun. Do you know what I mean? I'd love when, like, I've got a family to sit down and say, all right, this is what I used to play, and they're going to look at me like, was you born in the dinosaur age? And just coming back to it, actually, because I've got an Xbox and they just put out GoldenEye. They just re-released GoldenEye, and it's great to play. It is. It just takes me back. So much fun. I can't believe how much games have changed. But no, it is a bit of nostalgia, and you can spend many hours there. Many, many, many hours.
Was GoldenEye released on only the Xbox, or is it on the PlayStation 5?
It's only Xbox at the moment. I think it is coming to the PlayStation 5. Was it the N64 it was originally released for?
Yeah, it was. I knew it had come to the Switch, but I hadn't realised it had come to the Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox have got that sort of... they got it, which I'm really surprised. It was on their game library as well, so if you paid for Xbox Live Ultimate, you got it for free. So...
right, okay. Hopefully it'll come to the PlayStation and be a freebie in the near future. I love that game. So, Ted, whenever you play these games, with Super Mario, is there any reduction in the difficulty? Because we know from experience that back in the 80s, gamers were hardcore. People went out there and they completed games with the odds stacked against them, where they had a crap amount of lives. They didn't have any save games, passwords, or any of those sorts of things. Is there ways that Nintendo have taken the kids' hands these days to help them through these games? Can you save your progress?
Can you save your progress? Yes. I was trying to work out what your question was. Yes, you can. You've got, in most of the games, you've got 4 places that you can save. So when you exit the game, it offers you a placeholder, and you can use 4 of them. So yes, the answer is yes.
Right, okay. So it is babified. I see.
Yeah.
It's not hardcore.
But to be honest, with Tetris, it don't really matter very much, does it?
Well, no, but whenever it comes
high
to...
scores, I suppose, yeah.
Say Super Mario Brothers or something like that, you've got to work out a way of being able to pause the game, turn the TV off, and go for your dinner, and then come back up and play the game. You can't just turn it off.
I understand, yeah.
Or leave the Nintendo on for a couple of days because you don't want to lose your progress in that game, and without your parents finding out. I did that a number of times with my Mega Drive, because I am someone who has completed the Sunset Riders.
Completing the games is another interesting point, though, because I do find that, like, for example, I was completely transfixed by Super Mario World, but going back to it now, because I've completed it, I'm less interested in doing it again. I don't particularly want to start the whole thing again. And it's interesting also that on the extension packs, extended pack, whatever it's called, they give you a Super Mario World game that is complete. It's all finished, and so you can just jump in. But you've got both. You've got one that's not started, but also one that's completed. So if you want to, you can jump in anywhere and just play the level again because it's all been completed and it's all there. Whereas with the other version, which is also included, you can't progress until you've done the last one. Yeah.
Well, I suppose, it's nice to have both. I don't know what I feel about that, but obviously some people just want to be able to jump in and do particular levels without having to go through the pain of going through the game.
Well, for someone like me who's done it, and I conquered it, and I did the whole thing, and I was so proud of myself. Going back to it now, as I say, I don't want to start it again, but it's really nice to be able to just jump in and say, oh yeah, I remember this one, oh yeah. Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, yep. That adds a good bit of value to the Nintendo Online type thing. However, Chrome OS has developed a new overlay that will add value to games, won't it, Dad?
I don't know anything about this. I thought you would. I read this article and I didn't understand what it was saying. Do you?
Well, from what I understood, if you install a game on your Chromebook, it'll give you an overlay to show you what buttons can be used, and you could. I imagine that you could take the buttons and bind them to various keys on the keyboard.
Well, so it shows.
Yeah,
so it shows
just
you
having
a picture.
Yeah, just having a quick look. It overlays and inputs information about what buttons and controls can be used by your mouse or keyboard while playing a game. So you can then change and adjust these to your working preferred options.
Yeah.
So using your mouse and keyboard to move around and interact will generally improve its playability.
Yeah.
That's what
Although it causes Chrome OS to crash.
Well, then you can take it away, or does it just stay there?
It's a flag that you have to turn on at the moment for people to test. But whenever you set up a game, what was it? It was an old Arcos thing actually, but never mind. Whenever it pops up, you can identify what controls there are for the game, or what controls are required to use the game. And rather than using the touchscreen to hit the buttons, you can line them up or link them to keys on the keyboard.
I understand all that, but what I'm saying is that it doesn't stay there. It's got a right. So you've got a hotkey or something to show them, and then it goes away again. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But it shows that Google are evolving Chrome OS to be gaming friendly.
Right.
Yeah. So just to mention on this, it's got about key mapping. You can edit the key mapping. You can also show as well, so it seems like there is a toggle to keep it on, and of course you can send feedback because it is. Is it a beta or is this an alpha test?
Well, I think since it's flagged, it's beta now. Yeah.
Features in alpha v2.
Ah, right. Okay. It's called Enable Arc Input Overlay Beta.
Yeah.
But it's in alpha. Grand. But Alpha V2 would be beta, would it not?
Yeah. I don't know. The joys of Google and their wording.
Absolutely. And then whenever you get used to it, they'll get rid of it.
Of course.
All right. So Microsoft has made a 10-year pact with Nintendo, not Sony, but Nintendo, over the Call of Duty franchise. I think this is a bit of a weird one. Obviously, Microsoft are in negotiations to pay $68.7 billion to acquire Activision Blizzard, which is a company that makes Call of Duty and a bunch of other things. They have already bought Bethesda, which has a bunch of franchises attached to it as well, but Microsoft's just going and buying up all these things, and both Nintendo and Sony are a bit pissed pissed off at the idea because it might mean that some of the big tentpole franchises that have supported the games console market for so many years may go away from the PlayStation or Nintendo platform. But Microsoft and Nintendo have negotiated a deal, and Nintendo have previously done the Call of Duty series quite poorly on the likes of the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U. I don't know if it's out on the Switch. Maybe there are versions of Call of Duty on the Switch. I'm not up to speed on those. But they haven't quite managed to bang one out with Sony over the PlayStation. And this is the one thing that they have to do in order to be able to do this, because the likes of the European Union and the Monopolies and Mergers Committee will say that it's too big. You know, they're growing too big, and it's going to kill off any competition that the likes of, say, Sony could try and drum up, because they could end up trying to bring out their own thing that's just going to be trounced by Call of Duty, because it is such a behemoth whenever it comes to gaming names. You guys know what this is about, or are invested in this?
I've never played Call of Duty, but I know what it is. And presumably if Nintendo get hold of it, then they'll just push it out to Switch. That's the whole idea, isn't it? Ricky?
Yeah. See, I've played it before, and obviously Microsoft will have to offer Sony a deal. All I can see is Microsoft potentially will say there's an exclusivity for 30 days, 60 days or something. That it's only, they're allowed to do that. We've seen that before. But potentially that would then look at other games that are only flagship for that console. Obviously, each console has their own flagship sort of games. If you look at Gran Turismo for the PlayStation and Forza Motorsport for Xbox, neither of those will ever go to opposite platforms. But I think Call of Duty, because you've got open world, and because now as well they were on about you don't have to both be on the same console to play against your friends. There are cross-platform gaming online. I'm just saying it's going to take a little bit longer, because I think on the Switch it's only Warzone I think that may be available. I don't think it's a full Call of Duty game that springs to mind that I'm trying to think of. I think it may only be sort of like the mobile sort of peer-to-peer sort of player versus player Warzone game.
That's what I'm trying to find at the moment, is any Call of Duty game that's been released on the Switch, and it just seems to be that Warzone.
Yeah, I think, and obviously if that is the only game, that's quite easy for Microsoft to do. Moving forward they may have to, but I would say we're going to see an exclusivity for Call of Duty on the Xbox, which is a bit unfair. However, after 30 days you will see it available everywhere, or even 72 hours potentially. You could...
Well, we already have this problem on us because Microsoft buying Bethesda, and Bethesda do Doom, Wolfenstein, Elder Scrolls games, and Fallout games.
Yeah, Fallout, which is...
And there's a no, it's not Citizen Front. Starfront, is it? What's the new one that's coming out? That's going to be the biggest game of next year. Something.
Yeah, it's a bit like that open world one. It's an open world game.
Yeah, it's like Elder Scrolls but in space.
Yeah.
And Bethesda have been, chucking tons into it to ensure that it's going to be a big quality experience, which means it'll probably be a nightmare like Fallout 4 was whenever it first arrives, or not Fallout 4, the other one, Fallout 57 or whatever that online game was, buggy mess that was. But Starbound, no, that's not it. That has the potential of not coming to PlayStation 5 because it's Microsoft who own it, and if they don't put out the Doom games and things like that on PlayStation 5, then Sony are obviously going to lose out on that, and people are going to buy more Xboxes than PlayStations. So it's a big problem.
I'm just looking at some screenshots, images from Call of Duty, and it's just soldiers in war zones running around killing everyone and shooting guns. This is what sort of imagery is this giving out to kids wanting to play these kind of games? That war is great and killing people and shooting everyone is fine.
Yep.
Well, you know,
You've summed. I was going to say you've summed up Call of Duty quite well there.
But in Super Mario, you go along and ruthlessly jump on the top of Goombas and knock them off the platform that they're on, and we don't know what's below that. Could be hell, fire, and brimstone.
You're on a losing battle here.
And Princess Peach keeps getting kidnapped by Bowser. What kind of a good role model is that? Yeah. No, not role model. Message.
Yes, can't think of the word. Influence. No. Carry on.
Something like that, yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see whether or not this actually happens. Microsoft just picking up all these gaming companies. It can't be good for the customer at the end of the day. It really can't. Say, for example, I can't remember who does Battlefield, but Battlefield and Call of Duty, we had Medal of Honor as well for a while there, but Medal of Honor got killed off. Battlefield and Call of Duty are the two big war games that comes out that everybody loves to play, especially online. And Battlefield hasn't been doing so well, but say, for example, Microsoft was to buy both whoever does Battlefield and Activision Blizzard that does Call of Duty, they could just roll them both together or get rid of Battlefield and focus all their efforts in Call of Duty. Therefore, you only have one game coming out as opposed to two games which are, going to directly compete with each other.
Well, just thinking out loud, Battlefield is EA, which Microsoft have quite a stake in, don't they?
They do, yeah.
Because they were the first to bring EA, like the EA gaming library to Xbox as well. It's included in their package.
EA Games.
Sorry.
Yeah.
EA Games.
Yeah, that's the one. And obviously they've come across for a little bit because they've lost the FIFA franchise. FIFA 2023 was the last one that will have branding from FIFA.
Which means in 2024, that's the FIFA game to buy because it's not just another gloss of paint, layer of paint on the same game.
That's another one you see that is just like aimed at 12-year-old boys. And I've played these football games, including FIFA, and it's just really hard to control, and it's all a bit pointless and silly. In the old days, on the PC, we used to have Football Manager games. It didn't try and do gameplay, but it did all the statistics and the tables, and you got into the kind of managerial side of it, and that was much, much more fulfilling, I thought, than trying to run around with a ball and not be able to control it very well. End of rant.
Wow. So you prefer the administration side of football?
Yes.
Wow, as opposed to playing football. Gotcha. Right. Okay.
Buying and selling players. It was great fun. I remember that back on my PC XT or whatever it was, and it worked really well on the graphics we had of the day.
I remember one of the first jobs I started in, the championship manager working on the computers and work. That's all we did. Yeah. The boss would walk in and we're like, oh, quickly. Yeah. We had the boss key where you alt tab to Word and you'd be, just typing a letter to Mrs. Mill. Right, he's gone. Yeah, the IT tech had worked hard to get Championship Manager to work on the network as well, because it was a LAN game we were all playing. Yeah. All right, Ted.
Don't start me on this. 89p I paid for this. They told me about a year ago, Rovio, that I could buy for 89p Angry Birds Classic, and it will be there for me to play, and it will be absolutely fine, and no problem at all going forward. And now they've done the dirty. They've taken it away, essentially, and you can still play it on devices that you've already got it downloaded onto, but woe betide you if you want to put it on a new device. It's not in the Play Store. You can't download it again. I mean, you can go off and get an APK, no doubt. But the point is that they've done the dirty. 89p. Now, fortunately for me, like Super Mario World, I've finished Angry Birds, and I'm not that bothered, to be honest. I've done it all, and I don't particularly want to start it all again. But I should have it there for playing with if I want to. Naughty Rovio, and the reason they've given is that they're not by putting this out last year. They're not getting enough income and revenue from the other products they've got because people are not playing them because they pay their 89p. I think it's really naughty of them, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you sound very upset with that. And listening to last week's one, a few weeks back, about games and like the longevity of it, and that's the only issue buying digital media and digital content is it's only there as long as the distributors allow it to be there.
Yeah. You're renting it.
That's leasing.
Yeah, you are renting a long-term lease. It even has it on. I think someone shared it once on one of my videos because I was saying, I'm moving to digital content and just buying stuff from iTunes. And someone posted a comment saying, have you seen this in Apple's terms and conditions, that when you buy something, potentially if they lose the license or don't have the right to give it to you, they can just strip it away without you knowing you've paid for something. I was like, I've most probably forgotten by the time that they've actually stripped it away from me. It's sort of like, I get it, but we choose to do that. However, it saves me having stacks and stacks and stacks of Blu-rays or DVDs. And
like in Gareth's house.
Yeah.
Well, to seem to be entirely honest, the licensing does apply to physical media as well. They can turn around to you and say, that copy of Breaking Bad you've got it on Blu-ray, we're revoking the license, you're not allowed to watch it anymore. That does apply to discs, physical media. If you check the small print, it's in there. No, they can't take away the likes of the extras and things like that. Say, for example, Arrow or one of the boutique Blu-ray people put out something that has a bunch of documentaries and stuff like that on the disc as well. They can't come around and remove the disc from your person, but the film itself only has a license as long as it's being produced on a particular licensed Blu-ray, and that license can come to an end, and then effectively you're supposed to give it back. But no one does, and it's never enforced. But it's exactly the same as these. Whenever I bought Mission Impossible 1 to 4, I think it was. I've told this story millions of times before because I was always very aggrieved about it. On Google Play Movies at one stage or something, and whenever it moved across, it was the Samsung store or Flickster or one of those types of things where you had to move it in, and I moved it into Google Play Movies, and it wasn't available for digital in the UK.
Oh, was that the ultraviolet stuff?
Yes.
And you had a choice. You could either choose. There were some that were available to Google Play, and some were available to iTunes, weren't there?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I brought it in, and whenever I tried to view it, it said it wasn't available in my region. I was like, what the hell? The whole series? But then all of a sudden, a couple of years ago, it came back. It just suddenly appeared in my library. I was like, wow, I've got them again. And that was just a wee bit of a sort of a realization of how things work. And you will have it for as long as Google have it. There is a potential that tomorrow they could lose all of their licenses to all of the movies that they have on Google Play Movies, and it'll disappear. Stakeout has only just come back onto Google Play Movies, the movie with Richard Dreyfuss and Emilio Estevez, last week, because I've been looking at it, going to try and buy it, but it hasn't been available to purchase. You could rent it, but you couldn't purchase it. Then last Thursday, it dropped in and notified me that it was there for $7.99 to purchase, but for how long? That's a query. So, there you go. And it's the same with games.
Very tricky.
Yeah. We'll move on.
Yeah.
Finished ranting and raving about things. Yes, PlayStation blog. 10 new games have arrived, or are going to be arriving for the PlayStation VR 2, which is a rather heftily summed VR platform that has recently been released for PlayStation 5 and 4. There's a whole rake of new games that are in there that you can play. And to be honest, I don't think there's anything particularly exciting, and that's why my son ended up going and getting the MetaQuest, because I let him, because at least you can play your Steam games on the MetaQuest. Is there anything here that's going to excite anyone, not including Ted?
Yeah, Ricky.
For me, again, I tried it, the first generation. I had the first generation sold it. Didn't really enjoy it. I watched the launch that they had, and there was nothing really jumped out at me. It's going down well, I must say. Actually, people are enjoying it, and obviously for a second generation to come out, that's been good. But it's just not for me, and that's where I know I'm getting old. Apparently, the Horizon one is very good as well. That's Sony's own sort of label game. Apparently, that's very well put together. Again, I think Gran Turismo has been quite good, but I haven't really heard too much about it. I've watched a few people play their games and they've streamed it. Well done trying to find a way of streaming VR as well. It's not the easiest things to stream. The Cities one seems quite a good one. I've seen that again. It's not my thing. It's not my cup of tea anymore. However, fair play for Sony to putting out quite a large sort of launch window lineup.
Yeah. Well, they have been giving them away over the last couple of years in PlayStation Plus. So I have a wee collection of VR games, but I wasn't too excited by it. Gran Turismo 7 is one that I was thinking, oh, that would be nice to have.
Yeah.
But it's still a £70 game. You can wait for it to come out in sale, but I don't know whether or not you're going to have to pay extra for the VR. I wasn't prepared to find out either. Ted, there's a Tetris effect.
Yeah. I was just chuckling at that because I thought, yay, Tetris is in there. But there's also one I was also laughing at, which was Job Simulator. Presumably, that's for people on the dole to buy, and you pretend you've got a job, do you?
Yeah, I was thinking that it was inevitable that was going to come along because you've got, say, Lawnmower Simulator or Gardener Simulator and things like that. It's like, why would you want to play those games of regular jobs? Yeah. So they've just gone with Job Simulator, where you can go and be an administrator for a couple of days.
Manage a football club.
Or a small sauce factory just outside of Twickenham.
Yes. Anyway, I've never used the system, so I can't comment. But those 10 games, I did look through them, and they all look very kind of childish to me. Apart from one, which was
Resident Evil.
Swordsman. I think that one looked as though it might not be childish.
Well, I suppose Resident Evil, actually, yeah, that'd be one. Village, that's the one with the big woman in it.
Right.
That would be quite fun to play.
Really?
I did like that game, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's what, £600 for the PlayStation VR 2, which is a lot of money to shell out for something that might not last. I think the MetaQuest might be better value for money. It's $400, and at least you do have a certain certainty that you have your Steam games there, and that's not going to go away too quickly. Yeah,
I was just about to say that I've got my old Nintendo 3DS with cartridges in it, one of which is Angry Birds. They can never take that away from me. Ha!
Right, okay. Right, flap your trap about an app time, where TikTok is going to establish a paywall and keep people's videos behind it. Ted, you love TikTok.
Well, I certainly use TikTok on a daily basis, and I think it's really good fun. So regardless of the rest of the world trying to block their certainly official employees from using it in various countries all around the world, apart from China, it's an interesting platform, I think, and I do get quite a lot of amusement from it. But I wouldn't say I was kind of addicted to it. What they're trying to do here is catch up with YouTube. I think they're trying to make it attractive to TikTok creators in order to monetize what they're doing, and they've upped the ante on that in the same way as YouTube did. But the payoff is that you've got to have a larger follower base in order to benefit from the amounts of payouts that TikTok are going to give to creators. Beyond that, I don't know any further details. So that was it, really.
All right. I did see another headline actually involving TikTok, where was it members of the EU board of directors or something like that have advised people to remove it from their phones, or at least their work devices, and not have TikTok on there.
Yeah.
That's a bit worrying, but Well, we'll see what happens. Imagine the amount of information that's been sent back on Mr. Ted Salmon to China.
Well, they haven't got much information about me. I checked that this week, and they've got my email address, and they've got my one other thing, and that's it. I did check.
Okay, not that stash of bikini-laden ladies that you keep in your secret
Well, I
folders?
suppose they could argue that they know what you've looked at and how long you've looked at each video, and they could drum up information based on those algorithms. But in terms of hard information, they haven't got anything on me.
Okay, right, okay. So Google wants to fight misinformation with pre-bunking. What is pre-bunking?
Well, apparently pre-bunking is a method that Google have used in various countries. In their example, they used it in Poland to try and pre-bunk or debunk false news. And they reckon it's been quite successful because something was going on in Poland whereby they were trying to some bad actors were trying to spread negative information about Ukrainian refugees. So Google got involved and they debunked it by putting out videos on various platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Hurrah! To actually appeal to the people in those countries. And this story is much about the same thing. They after their Polish and Czech Republic and Slovakia experiments, they're going to expand it out into other countries in Europe to feed. And presumably Google have got to pay for their advertising time with those other platforms, but in YouTube they can advertise what they like, pretty much until the EU stops them, and they're pushing out these what's it called? Yeah, pre-bunking, not debunking, but pre-bunking.
Yeah, get it before it starts.
Yeah.
In some way. The last one here we have is about Twitter and how Mr. Musk has decided to remove two-factor authentication from everyone who isn't a blue verified tick subscriber person. So you and me probably don't have two-factor authentication, which is a really nice thing to do to help cut down on people getting hacked and stuff like that, and that kind of thing. So it seems a bit counterintuitive, if anything, but there are ways that you can install two-factor authentication on Twitter, and it would probably be best if you did that using one of the authenticators out there, whether it be Authy or Google Authenticator. I think Microsoft have one as well. Either of you two gentlemen affected by this?
This just to make it clear, this is the SMS 2FA they've taken away, not any other methods. Yeah, so it's just the text messaging, because Twitter reckons it's costing them a fortune to support that. Ha ha ha. Ricky?
Yeah, I don't have a blue tick. I'm not going to buy one. Again, I don't want another service that I have to pay for. And I'll just use a different method of authentication. I think I already do mine via email anyway, just because I don't know what phone will ping when I get a message. So it's just done via email, I think, from memory. I will go in and have a check and have a look, though. I think it's worth checking. I would say it's still always good to have two-step verification.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And every method possible would be best for all. Chrome Corner, Ted, what's new?
Okay, just a couple of things. You can now edit Google Contacts directly from the Gmail sidebar in Web, which is significant, I think, because I so often have gone across to there and clicked on there and I thought, oh, that's a quick way into Contacts. Gone in there to change something. You can't do it. You just have to launch the whole page Contacts. So that's coming along any time now. It's not working yet, but it's coming along any time now. Google is going to start this is the one I'm not quite sure about. The Google is starting to migrate calendar and assistant reminders into tasks next month. Now, I don't use calendar or assistant reminders, but I have got tasks installed, and they're going to try and float tasks into all the other products they've got and make tasks the kind of central thing for reminders. So there's that. And the last one is the system-wide live captions, which is coming to Chromebook, so in the Chrome OS and in the Chrome front end. I did actually try this out yesterday, and I didn't realise it was there in settings. So in any instance of Chrome you've got, you probably know this, Ricky, but if you go to the three dots and set accessibility settings, you can actually turn on the live captions, and at the moment, any audio content will actually be read out to you, and you can see it scrolling along. The change here is apparently it's going to be completely system-wide, so anything at all anywhere in Chrome. Ricky?
Yeah, that's very good. Again, I'd seen this prior. I would say if you have just turned it on, you may need to refresh your device, potentially, sometimes, just because it doesn't pick it up. But no, really good to see. I think it's really important to have that on there. It's a good standard. And I would say anyone that is creating content, please make sure you do add captions yourself if they are closed captions. But as Google will be able to do, is use live caption option as well. So closed captions should always be uploaded to any content. Or if it's an image, use alt text. So alt text will identify what the image is to someone. So when you're looking at an image saying it's a person in front of a screen, it would just say pick one. But if you actually have alt image, it would say there is a person looking at a screen. On the screen is another person sharing their content. And it just gives people a bit of an idea, because people can use their imagination still. Even if you don't have sight, you can use your imagination to sort of think, okay, I roughly know what a person looks like. If they're fully legally blind or completely blind, they won't potentially know, but they can still use their imagination to understand what's happening around them. So that's really good to see. I like that.
I like alt text, actually. I was doing some movie reviews for a while there, and I was enjoying typing in the alt text. Just such and such is staring lustfully at such and just having a wee bit of a laugh with it as well, trying to paint a better picture. But I suppose I was maybe changing the mise en scène of the actual image to something comical, which might be taken a bit unfairly.
I was going to say most people I know who are visually impaired would prefer something better than just pick one, like picture one, A, B, Q, C, 3-2. It's a lot better than... I'd rather listen to your CDE image description.
Stupidity, yeah. Right, okay. Useful. And use alt text and things like that for people.
And do either of you use calendar or assistant reminders?
No.
Assistant reminders I would do.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, say...
Asking Google to do something.
Well, saying the key word and saying, I've got an egg boiling, remind me in 10 minutes or something. And then they're going to put that into tasks and keep it, even though you don't need it kept.
It's useful to have it there so you can actually cancel it easily. Because I have the tasks widget on my home screen of my tablet and my phone, and I would use it quite frequently. So having those slotting in there might be useful if I don't want the alarm to go off whenever I am cooking an egg. Why would you cook an egg? Ugh, eggs.
Okay, fair enough. And I think you approved of the context one in the sidebar.
Yes. It made no sense that it didn't actually do that. I discovered that myself on a few occasions.
I'm clicking on it now, and no, it's working now. You can edit it. Oh no, it's not. It's launched the. It's doing the same. It's coming soon.
Great. Okay, hark back session, and I've gone with a very obvious one. I was trying to work out if we'd done this one before, but I don't think we have. This is the Sega Master System, and it was Sega's little 8-bit home console that they introduced that kind of took on the NES, but it was based around a bunch of consoles that they had before. This was actually originally called, I think it was originally called the Sega Mark III, and it was released in Japan, but I'm going to focus mainly on the European releases, which is the Sega Master System and the Master System 2. There is a Sega Master System 3, but it's more Brazil-based, and I don't know, maybe we'll go there. Who knows? So it came out in the European Union around about 1987, and I rather think that it did rather well. People say that it didn't do well when it first arrived here in the UK, but I know a number of people who had them, and it was a wee bit cheaper than the Nintendo Entertainment System, although it did arrive a good bit after them, whilst still being an 8-bit console. It was almost like the cheaper version of the Mega Drive that was arriving around that time anyway. And if you didn't want to buy your kids a Mega Drive, you could buy your kids a Master System instead. And the games were a wee bit cheaper too. So I think it was a wee bit of a different uptake here in the UK, where it was the cheap version of the Sega, and then there was a more expensive version of the Sega, as opposed to the first one and the second one. I had the original Sega Master System, but quite late on in life, I picked one up for cheap because I always liked it, and I was always intrigued to find out what some of the functions did, because I had a friend who had the Sega Master System 2, which had the built-in game, but it didn't take the hue cards that I like to call them, because I had a TurboGrafx. But they were little, you could put a cartridge in the top, but you could also put a front-loading, I can't remember what they called them, Sega cards or something like that they called them, which had up to 256 worth of K of storage. So you could have little mini games that could fit in the front, and then the full 4 megabit cartridge could go in the top. So you could buy 2 different types of games. And I remember buying, I think it was called the Ninja, and it came on the card that would go in the bottom, and playing that instead, and it made for a wee bit of, a little bit of extra cheap gaming if you wanted to have that. The Sega Master System 2 came along, and whilst it's called the 2, you would think that would add in a bunch of extra stuff to make it to build on what they had before, because we expect that from the likes of the PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, but instead the Master System 2 kind of just scaled things down and took out a number of different things that made the Master System 1 more expensive for them to produce, and perhaps technology that isn't being fully utilised. I think there was something about the sound chip in the original Master System that they got rid of, and it might have had some networking capabilities as well. I can't quite remember all the differences, but they would scale it down more and more, and ultimately the Sega Game Gear would be yet more scaling down of the Master System to turn it into essentially a portable version of the Master System on the go. They did that with the Mega Drive as well, turning it into the Sega Nomad, which was a portable version of the Mega Drive. The Master System had at the heart of it, it had I've lost it now, it had 8 kilobytes of RAM, and there was 16 kilobytes of VRAM as well, and it ran off a Zilog Z80A processor, which was very similar to a lot of the 8-bit computers of the time, but it ran at 3.58 megahertz, which meant that it was actually quite good for some of the arcade games of the day. If you have a look back at the likes of, say, R-Type or Afterburner, they are probably best played on the Master System itself, and it beat out some of the 32-bit versions that we saw coming to the Mega Drive and various other platforms afterwards. Master System did do them very well, and it was because Sega was able to tune the hardware to get the best results. There was obviously the big competition between Nintendo and Sega, and I remember playgrounds being divided between people who had Master Systems and people who had Nintendo Entertainment Systems, and they would duke it out as to who had the better console. And whenever there was a game that came to both platforms, there would be who had the better graphics, who had the better this, that and the other, which was the better version. And I think Star Wars was one that I remember having, and whenever it came to the Master System, it was inherently different to the one that came to the Nintendo. And a friend of mine who had the Nintendo Entertainment System would talk about some of the levels that he would do and having the top-down perspective of flying around. And I didn't have that on the Master System, but now in hindsight, they were two very different games. And I think there was a version of the Star Wars I had for the Nintendo. He just had a different version. Indiana Jones was another example as well, where they had two different. There was a 10-gen version on the Nintendo, and then the US Gold one on the Master System. So it was a strange console. It looked very striking. It was very pretty. I think it was one of the best looking consoles around the time. It was kind of a sort of a pyramid-y type effect to it, or a prism type effect, that triangular in shape as opposed to boxy like the Nintendo. And I think it was a lot more stylish. It had a D-pad that had a rather spongy D-pad and two buttons. There was no start or select. They doubled up with the 1 and 2 buttons. And you could plug in 2 joypads. Only one was shipped with it, and I think I only ever had one. But it was a great little games console. Do either of you have one?
This all passed me, but I was just sitting here reflecting on the fact that it would have been interesting to have been a bit younger than I am. You were talking about playground and the who had what, and when I was at school, it was just much too early for all that. The games consoles were not really out there. The closest I got was like Pong, as we've spoken about before, plugging in your telly in the back of the telly. But all this kind of competition between systems, no, passed me by. So sorry, I can't really contribute. I like your enthusiasm though. It's great to hear that you've really enjoyed it. I don't know what age bracket are you in, Ricky?
I see. I'm just ahead of that a little bit. Because I'm 37 this year. So when I was at school, it was the Nintendo and the SNES and the 64 and the very early PlayStation.
Right.
So for me, I love your passion for it. That was great to listen to, and I could talk to you about the PlayStation or the Xbox, and mine was sort of around that era, and Pokemon cards when they first come out. So when I was at school, it was all about Pokemon cards, which I wish I kept some of them now, knowing the prices of them. But that was the competition at school during that time, was like what Pokemon cards you had, and the Game Boys of Pokemon. As well, which we could take to school and play with. We was allowed those at school.
Wow!
So it is a different era again, isn't it? There's 3 different eras there of when you went through, and I dread to think now with children that go to school now what they talk about and what they sort of, because I suppose you have pretty much any game on any console, don't you? There's the odd few that we've spoken about. But most games you can get on most consoles anyway, so it'd be interesting now. It'd just be like, or do you play Fortnite, or do you play Call of Duty Warzone?
PUBG.
Yeah, PUBG, Warzone. There was Apex Legends a while ago that I'm thinking of. It'd be interesting to see what they're sort of talking about nowadays, and then even sort of, as I said, I'm looking to have a family in the future. What they all go to school talking about will be very interesting.
Yeah. It is a wee bit. It's kind of the football team mentality, where in the playground you've either got Manchester United or you've got Liverpool, and there's always that one weird kid off to the side that supports Arsenal. Weird kid who gets beaten up a lot. But that's how it works. And you know, before the Nintendo and Sega Master System, there was Spectrum and Commodore, and then that weird kid who was me off the side who got beaten up for having an Amstrad. And here there's that one kid who likes the Neo Geo, and he gets beaten up a lot, although he gets picked up by his chauffeur and is buttled about the place by his butler, because no one else could afford a Neo Geo. Yeah, that's kind of the way it works, and I can
identify with the football team thing. We definitely had that, and that's probably gone right through the ages since the Second World War, probably. In school playgrounds, but yeah, it's also interesting reading this bit about the Sega Mark III, which was released in South Korea under these rip-off names. One by Samsung under the name Game Boy, but with the E in the middle replaced with an asterisk, and then someone else has released it as the Aladdin Boy, and the Hyundai Group have released one called the Comboy. It seems like in the Far East, everyone was just kind of doing whatever they wanted, with a big V's up to anyone that's got the rights to anything.
Yeah. Well, that was the beautiful thing about stuff back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. The licensing laws were very different from territory to territory. That's why we got all those Italian movies that were cash-ins on big American blockbusters, like Zombie Flesh Eaters came out. That was Dawn of the Dead 2. They couldn't be released over here because of licensing, and they just didn't give a damn. Trade laws didn't really focus on copyright or anything like that at the time. Yeah. But there was a Sega Master System 3, which I only found out about a few years ago. I think I was watching a video on YouTube about it just to catch up on a wee bit of nostalgia, and it sold really well out in Brazil, and I think it's still being sold today.
Oh, right.
And it's still having games made for it. And it's just that kind of cheaper 8-bit console that it's still desired by some.
Very good.
Yeah. They tried 3D as well, actually, come to think of it. I'm just having a look down the Wikipedia. There was a Sega Scope 3D glasses, and there was a light phaser as well, which we can't use on current screens. It only works on glass CRT screens. I remember having the light phaser. Actually, I still have the light phaser. Yeah, it's over there. Yeah. But I don't think I've ever used it on any games. Yeah. Fun times. 8-bit consoles were great. Yeah. Anyway, moving into the bargain basement. We're going to start off with it's my one, actually. The Belkin. I didn't know that this was actually called. No, it's sold out. The end listing. It was an eBay buy it now thing, but it seems to have gone. Right. They had loads available, but it was such a good deal.
Yes.
Never mind, I'll delete it.
Forget that one.
Ted.
Let's move on to Logitech, our favourite company of the moment. This is the K400 Plus, which is a keyboard which has got a little trackpad off to the right hand side, and actually it's been reduced from £45 to 25, although there's a long delivery on that. If you want it now, it's 36 quid, so still a reduction. But the interesting thing about this was that I think with the television being used for gaming and for decks particularly, I think that I might have a use for this. Stick it in the lounge and actually have a keyboard for when you put decks up on the screen. So yes, I thought I would highlight it. The Logitech K400.
That's it. I thought you already had one of them. Oh no, you've got the one with the groove cut.
Yeah, the K780, and I've also got a K380, but none of them have got a little trackpad. That would be really handy in front of the telly.
Because you need another keyboard.
I'm not going to get one, but you know.
Okay, alright. Next up is the Logitech Streamcam. Staying with Logitech, they seem to be having a bit of a sale on over this weekend, which is quite nice. This is a live streaming webcam that can be used with YouTube and Twitch. It's got full 1080p HD at 60 frames per second. It connects by a USB, and it's got AI-enabled face tracking to make you look prettier. Autofocus as well, and vertical video. Very handy. Stick it on the top of your laptop or whatever, and you'll be able to do
TikTok
videos and video conferencing if you're working from home. And it's down in price from £139 to £68.19. I have noticed that of my videos on YouTube, some of the cheaper webcams that I've looked at are by far and away. Whenever COVID lockdown happened, they really took off. And people were watching to try and get better webcams for their video conferencing and working from home and things like that. But this looks like a really top end solution for some at a rather decent
They're
price.
obviously targeting it at the TikToking crowd, aren't they? If you look at the pictures on the left hand side, the first two pictures are females with ring lights and this camera in the middle of them.
Yes. But then most people will just use them for video conferencing and looking slightly better on camera.
They might well do. Right, Samsung Galaxy S23, 256GB version, 849 quid, which is no news. That's the proper price. But Amazon, for me, are offering the following deal. 12 times 70 quid plus an Amazon trade-in plus £100 extra trade-in allowance plus a free case plus 6 months of Disney Plus. I put my Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra in the mix to see what I would get, and I got offered £215 plus the £100 bonus, which made it £315. Take that off the 849, you come to 534, which ends up being £44.50 times 12 months, at least to me. Not everyone will be offered that 12-month thing, but I was.
Wow. Okay. And did you do it?
No, I didn't do it. I don't really need it or want it, but the point is I could have done, and someone else might want to.
That's a good deal. That's very good. And when you guys were talking about like these Amazon deals, I had a look on mine, and it seems very depending on the products you buy. Because I noticed phones and tablets, yes, that I could get them on. And then also, quite weirdly, gardening stuff as well that I could get a monthly payment on.
Oh, yeah.
So it very much depends what you buy and look at, I would say.
Yeah, we have an ongoing, I think, weekly or bi-weekly chinwag about what we're allowed to do and what we aren't allowed to do. And it seems that Ted and I are I always have it whenever he doesn't, and he always has it whenever I don't. I'm not being offered it at the moment, although I do have one out at the moment for something that I bought. I can't remember what it was. But once I've finished paying for that, I think it'll kick back in, and I'll be able to choose something else. And I think Ted's theory was that when it comes to technology, you're allowed one, and then maybe in gardening you're allowed one as well, and clothing you'll be allowed one. But you can't have two running in the same ilk at any one time, isn't that right?
I think so. I think the algorithm is a bit unknown. I mean, it also depends on how long you've been a customer and how much you've spent, I think. And I've been a customer, my account's been open since the year 2000, which means I've got 23 years of track record with them. So I think it just depends. And it all clearly depends on their distribution deals they do with people and blah, blah, blah. It's an unknown, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't even think I'm getting I can see in the promotion message the enhanced trade-in, but I don't see where I can actually select it.
Yeah, and I get that sometimes. They say, click on the trade-in button, and it's not there. Now, on this occasion, with the Samsung Galaxy... Well, I'll tell you what, I'll check now to see if it's still there. But when I looked last night, it was. But you're quite right, that, trade in and save, the button is there. And sometimes it's not, you're quite right. It's just underneath the Buy Now button. So you've got Buy Now, Payment, Secure Transaction, Dispatches from, blah, 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 Details, and then there's the button there.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But it does give me the promotional message.
It comes and goes, doesn't it? Yeah.
Bizarre. Claim an additional £150 trade-in value.
Ooh, 150.
Jeez. Yeah, but I can't get it.
So I've got. Hang on a minute. Let me have a look, because it said 100 yesterday. Oh yeah, mine still says 100. So they just offer different things to different people, don't they?
So I can get 150, but hang on a second. I've clicked on a different link to the same product, and yeah, it's appeared now. Trade in and save.
Right. Okay. It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. But the Pixel 6 isn't on there. It's only up to Pixel 5. Oh, I don't know, Amazon. Next up, also on Amazon, because I was looking at graphics cards, I was considering this. I purchased a new 6800 XT because I could get it. Whereas if you have a look on Amazon right now, you can actually get a good deal on the 6700 XT, because I don't want to have anyone getting a slightly better graphics card than me. This is the Asus Dual AMD Radeon RX 6700 XT STD edition, so it comes with a nice case of gonorrhea. and it's down in price from £526.92 to £377.36. They only have 36 of them left. It does not ship to Northern Ireland, which is why I didn't buy it and had to go for the 6800 instead. But I thought that was a pretty good deal through Amazon for a rather respectable graphics card, which is 12 gigabytes of RAM, GDR R6 graphics. This is obviously a couple of years old. The 7700 and 7800 and 7900 have all been released now, so maybe it's only 1 year old, but it's nice to see this down at a more reasonable price than it has been over the last couple of years, where it's been up in the thousands if you want to get one of these whenever it was released new.
Looks like a bit of a beast. With the whacking great big fans on the back.
Oh, that's what you like. Yeah. That's what I've got beside me here, glowing, looking at me, with Red Dragon written across. Right,
the last one is the Kindle Paperwhite Signature Edition, 32 gigabyte with 6.8 inch display. So the biggest one, well, apart from the Scribe is bigger now, but this was the biggest one. Reduced from $179.99 to $159.99, 11% off. You can trade in your old Kindle as well, or I can. They're offering me a trade in up to 20% if you've got one to throw back at them. They're also offering me 5 monthly payments of £32, and the reason that this is in my basket at the moment is because my mum wants one for her birthday. Otherwise it wouldn't have been on my radar. But yeah, £20 off plus 5 months to pay plus a 20% trade in for an old Kindle. There you go.
Yeah, I'm getting 5 monthly payments.
Ricky,
you probably will too.
As well.
This is the one that's got
it's Amazon product.
This is the one that's got wireless charging, which is really good. The family have already got one of these, and it sits on their charging pad, and they love it. It's great.
Brilliant, lovely, lovely. All right, well, that about brings us to an end. Ricky, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'll make sure to find some bits for next time. I'll see what I can find.
You ought to do the hark back on the next show, because of that gaming system you were talking about.
Oh, the PlayStation 1?
Yeah, could do. Yeah, I'll think something about the hark back.
Okay.
Yeah. And folks, if you have anything you want to throw in for that time, then do let us know. You can do that by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. We can also find us on Twitter as well, at techaddictsuk. You can find me on Twitter at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I've enclosed my Mastodon link in the show notes because I don't know how to tell you that over the air, but I'm on Mastodon there as well if you want to search or whatever. I have my .com as well, which is garethmiles.com. And Ted and Ricky, or Ted, where can they find you?
You have to say mstdn.social/@GarethMiles.
I'm not saying that.
TedSalmon.com for me. That's where you'll find all the information about our MeWe groups and our audio podcasts and all the stuff we do. If you want to buy me a coffee, you can do that. That's at paypal.me/TedSalmon. Thank you so much in advance.
Excellent. And Ricky, where can they find you?
And so it's Ricky's Tech Talk on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, wherever. And then they look at Mastodon as well. So let's add another social media platform to the mix. Why not?
Yeah, you can never have too many.
Never.
Terrific. All right, well, we'll speak to you all in 2 weeks' time. Have a wonderful fortnight. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. Gives you quite a bit of scope. And take care.
Cheerio.
See you later.